Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will continue building our database design with Entity Framework Core. Remember that previously we created the user table of our sample photo sharing app using the migration method. If you are curious about the design of the database we are building, check out the video that appears in the top right corner of the screen. In this video, we will cover data annotation and navigation property structures in Entity Framework Core. We will explain what these structures mean and how to use them in this example app. Let's get started. Open Visual Studio Code. We will continue with the project from our previous video, which already has the user table created in it. You can check out the previous video linked below to start from the beginning. First, make sure that the MS SQL server is running properly on Docker. If you want to learn more about Docker and MS SQL Server, you can check out the video in the top right corner of the screen. We will use Azure Data Studio to connect to our database. And if you want to learn more about how to use Azure Data Studio, check out the video linked below. First, we will delete the database connection string that we created using the database ensureCreated method. This was an alternative method to create a database for relatively small-scaled projects. Since we will continue using the migration method, we don't need it anymore. Let's open a new query window in Azure Data Studio to delete the previous database we created using the ensureCreated method here too. Use the drop database script with the name of the database you want to delete and run it. We have successfully deleted the database. Let's refresh the database list to ensure the deleted database is gone. You can close the query window now. Let's open another query window for the other database we created in our previous video using the migration method. I will delete this database as well for a clean start. Remember, you should first select the database you want to work with, then open a query window by selecting the corresponding database. Use the drop database script again, enter the name of the database you want to delete and run it. We have successfully deleted the database. You can verify this by refreshing the database list. Let's delete the migrations folder and recreate the database from scratch to refresh our knowledge. Remember, we previously created the user table and we already have the AppDB context set up. Open a new terminal. Let's build the project first. Our project has been built with a couple of warnings. These warnings are about the nullable properties in our user class. We will correct them soon, so don't worry about them for now. Let's clean the terminal and run our migration command to create the database. The migration files have been created successfully. Use the update command to apply the structure from the migration files to the database. Our database has been created. Let's check it out. As you can see, our database is created with the user table in it. Let's continue building our database design from where we left off in the previous video. We will move on with the post table. Let's create this table in our database using the Entity Framework core. Right-click on the Data Models folder and add a new post class. We already decided on the columns for our table during the design phase, so let's use them to create the class for the post table. We are done with the post class for now. Remember, if you don't save the changes, they won't be reflected in the migration file and therefore not in the database. Next, we need to add the post class to the AppDB context so that the post table is included in the migration structure. Let's open the terminal and create a new migration file to apply the changes to the database. The new migration file has been created successfully. You can check out the details of the post class, our post table, in the newly created migration file. Let's apply the changes to the database using the migration file. Type the database update command I'm using and press enter. The database update is completed. We can check the database using Azure Data Studio. Refresh the database to see the newly added table. Our post table is now here in the database. We previously designed the relationships between the tables. Let's use navigation properties to create these relationships in our database. A navigation property in Entity Framework Core is a property in our model that holds a reference to related data, allowing you to easily move between connected entities, like one-to-many or many-to-many relationships. It reflects the relationships in your database and makes it easier to access related data in queries. A user in our app can own multiple posts, so we need to relate a list of posts to a user. I am using the plural form of posts to reflect that there may be multiple posts for each user. On the other hand, every post can be owned by one user in our design, so we link the post to a user using the singular form of the word. Remember, if you don't save the changes, they won't be reflected in the migration file and therefore not in the database. So don't forget to save your changes. You can simply use Ctrl+S. Open a new terminal. Create a new migration file to apply the changes to the database. Our new migration file is ready. Let's check the current version of our database so we can compare the differences after applying the changes. Right now, the user ID column looks like a regular integer column, and the table only has a primary key listed under the keys. Use the update command as I do to apply the changes to the database. Then refresh the database. As you can see, the user ID column has been updated to a foreign key. Additionally, you can now see the foreign key listed under keys. We can use data annotations in Entity Framework Core to apply database rules directly in our code. Data annotations in Entity Framework Core are special attributes you add to your model classes to control how the columns behave. They help define things like primary keys, required files, maximum lengths, relationships, and more, right in your code. It's an easy way to set up database rules without writing additional configuration code. We need to import the related library to use data annotations. I've added the key annotation to the ID column, but Entity Framework Core treats the ID column as a key by default, even if you don't explicitly annotate it. We have annotated the primary keys in both tables. Now add the ForeignKey annotation to the user ID column. It's time to add the required annotations to the columns as we designed earlier. Remember, we defined character limits for some of the columns in our database design. To reflect those limits, we can use the MaxLength annotation on the relevant columns. If you don't use this annotation, the columns will be created with the maximum length allowed by default. Let's open a new terminal and create a new migration file. You will receive a warning at this step about possible data loss, since we didn't define character limits earlier using the MaxLength annotation. Entity Framework Core warns us that if there is any data in those columns that exceeds the limit we now defined, it may be lost. We can now see that the limitations we defined with annotations have taken effect in the migration file. Let's use the database update command and press Enter to apply the changes to the database. As you can see, the limits we added have been successfully applied to our database. That's it. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any upcoming content in the series.